Welcome to In the 305 with Chairman Gilbert, where we discuss important topics impacting our community with experts and those that can affect change. Then together, we'll try to find real solutions. I'm your host, Oliver G. Gilbert III, Chairman of the Miami-Dade County Board of County Commissioners and the County Commissioner for District 1. This episode is our second episode, and tonight's topic is one that's become a big concern for the entire community: the affordability and accessibility of housing. Tonight's guest, experts in the subject of housing. We begin tonight with David Martin, CEO of Miami-based development firm Terra. David, in the past few years, we've seen prices surge like never before. What's driving prices of housing up in Miami-Dade County?
Thank you for the introduction, Chairman Gilbert. Several factors are really impacting affordability and housing right now. One of the critical pieces is supply. You know, 2/3 of the county is the Everglades National Park. And so what happens is we don't have enough land to be able to build the housing we need. And so what we need to do is look at urbanism and really embrace urbanism in order to create the housing stock that we do need.
Tell us what urbanism is.
Historically, the city of Miami, Miami-Dade County has grown in a certain way. They've typically grown out to the suburbs, out west. And what we need to do is we need to be developing our neighborhoods that are historical neighborhoods, but doing it in a very culturally sensitive way. And so what we need to do is go up. We need to bring density close to transit. We need to bring density closer to the schools. We need to bring density closer to the jobs, so that affordability is not only about housing, but it's also other components like, you know, transit and being able to get to work and go pick up your kids at school in a cost-effective manner. And really, when people are looking at their budgets right now, they're saying, all right, not only am I putting a lot of my income toward housing, but it's also going into, you know, gas, it's going into housing, you know, transportation costs. So for us, urbanism has to do a lot with, you know, making neighborhoods thrive.
I wanted to see for myself what urbanism actually looks like, so I visited David at one of Terra's latest developments, Grove Central in Coconut Grove.
You know, at the end, it becomes these buildings, you're turning strangers to neighbors, and these community spaces are just part of that. That lifestyle. You know, I think when we think of urbanism, we think of noise, you know, we think of traffic, you know, and when you could create an environment like this where people can really feel peaceful and serene and kind of have amazing views, I think it's fulfilling, I think, for the people that live here, you know?
Absolutely. Everything here is in close proximity: restaurants, shops, and markets. You really don't have to drive, but if you did have to go somewhere further away, there's another big plus: public transportation available right around the corner from Grove Central.
The station is basically integrated to where you park or where you live and where you shop.
The intermodal solution is going to have to be, it's not just going to be rail, it's going to be how we connect people to the rail. It's going to be all of those things.
100%.
And so, but these are things, this is an opportunity for us to actually to really be creative, to show how we can actually imagine a new community, how we actually connect things and people and places. We can do that.
This 27th Avenue bus rapid connects to Miami Gardens, right down 27th Avenue, and it comes right here.
Yeah.
Yep.
The second really big impactful thing is interest rates. Right now, interest rates have skyrocketed. We've had, you know, we used to have mortgage rates at around 3%, 3.5%. Today, those mortgage rates are 6.5%, 7.5%. And so that is a dramatic impact on people's bottom line, so that they can't afford to be able to live and pay the life and the quality of life they want for their families. Their debt service is just going to choke them, you know. And so what we need to do is we need to think about how can we build affordably, right? How do we reduce the cost of housing so that when people are choosing to buy or rent, they're not putting so much of a percentage of their income to housing, to rental, right? And so for us, I think it's a very complicated problem, Chairman Gilbert, because we have neighbors and we have communities that don't want the density. And they need to understand that we're all in this together. We believe in a society that has the lower income, the middle income, and the upper income communities want to live together and make society better. But we do have some of this NIMBYism that really is impacting our ability to really equitably, kind of look at the entire community and provide the housing that's necessary.
When you say NIMBYism, you mean not in my backyardism.
That's correct.
So people they understand that you need to have density, you need to go up, you need to affect supply and demand, but they don't want you to do it in their area.
Correct. The same people that are screaming for affordable housing are the same people and that are screaming for environmental and climate change issues are the same people saying they don't want it in their neighborhoods. And we need to rethink that. Now, part of it has to do with the architectural style, the types of buildings. It used to be that, right now we have a single family house and we have a high rise, but there's so many different types of typologies. We got courtyards, we got row houses, we got townhouses, we got mid-rise, and we need to be focusing and hacking our zoning code to really deliver different types of housing that are maybe cheaper to build, and the cheaper they are to build, the more they will get built, and also the more affordable the rent or single family price or condo price, can be accessible so people can really be part of this growth.
We use these terms interchangeably sometimes. We use affordable housing, but a lot of times when people are talking about affordable housing, they're really talking about the affordability of housing.
That's correct.
And so I like to make the point to folks that affordable housing are typically government programs that speak to a certain level of the area media income and all that stuff. But the affordability of housing is something that affects literally all of us.
That's correct. I mean, right now, the income levels in the county right now are around $75,000 a year. And so what we see people in every stratosphere, from the middle class and lower class, really cannot afford to provide the house, provide the quality of life for their families, because they can't afford the pricing. Because what happens is the less supply you have of something, the more the owners can price it higher. Now, if you could create more supply, then now you could have, competition. And so when you look at all the rental communities and you look at Miami-Dade County, that we have one of the highest occupancies, over 95% throughout all our neighborhoods. So that allows landlords and or home builders to be able to charge more than they could.
Rental is off the chain. It is too expensive. Miami-Dade County, the state of Florida, do not have a regulation as far as the landlord. At any time, he could go up on the rent, whatever he feel. We have seniors, people who are on fixed income, who cannot afford the astronomical rent that the landlord is charging. And by the time you pay for your utilities, your medical expenses, and your personal care, and food, everything has gone up. What do you have left?
I think the other issue that we have, and I know some other cities are addressing, is foreign investment in Airbnb. So single family residences being bought by private equity groups just for Airbnb purposes. And while I really believe in free market and capitalism, I think families need to come first, and I think it's very difficult for families to compete with a private equity group for a single family home.
Let me ask you a question about Airbnbs, because how do they affect the actual supply? So do we see a lot of, are you seeing a lot of this where people are taking properties and putting them on Airbnb, thus taking them out of the rental market and out of the ownership market? Are we seeing a lot of that here?
We're seeing that, and we're also seeing institution buying single family houses and then renting them out as well. And so what happens, the short-term rentals really work in the tourism areas, right? When you're close to the beach or close to an urban center, an entertainment center, you're seeing a lot of that supply. And it's not only impacting, the supply of residential, but it's also impacting the ADRs for our hotels, right? Because Airbnb is not paying kind of in my opinion, their fair share of the hotel taxes and whatnot that are necessary in order to deal with the impacts of hospitality and short-term rentals, because those turns on the short-term rental create an impact on that neighborhood. You have a residential neighborhood, and when you have a week rental or a month rental, that person may or may not treat that community in a proper way, may throw certain events and loud noises and create an environment that's not conducive to good quality of life. On the flip side, you're seeing institutions come in and buying these homes in aggregate at good rates and then renting them out. And so that now we have less housing stock for sale, right? Because we want to have an equitable balance. We want a for rent product and we want a for sale product, and we need to create a supply of both. But when the institutions are buying the for sale product and the short-term rentals are leasing from developers or owners their properties and promising these high returns on a short-term rental basis, it's reducing the stock of supply. We have an ability to grow supply. We have two ways of doing that. We could work just exclusively on county land, or we could look at how do we hack the code? How do we get the development industry to say, we want to build supply where the county wants the supply? Because it's very easy to go build supply in these higher end neighborhoods, right? It's very easy.
But that's not where we actually need it all the time.
That's not where we need it all the time.
So finding ways to have public policy actually incentivize development where we need it, close to rapid mass transit, so that way we can add density, add housing without actually adding cars to the road.
That's right, Chairman Gilbert.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Prices have gone up tremendously. I mean, I've lived in Key Biscayne for the last 14 years. I could tell you that comparing prices in 2010 to what we have nowadays, rent is probably triple, and the cost of buying a house is probably double.
Let's welcome now two experts in Miami-Dade real estate. Anik Timmer, a broker at the EBH Group. They specialize in high-end properties, interior design, and development. And Sophia Howard, a realtor from Caldwell Banker Realty. Now, Ms. Howard, Sophia.
Yes.
I'm hearing stories about how hot the real estate market here in Miami-Dade County is. I'm hearing that when people they list their properties, they're just flying instantly the same instant. Is that true?
Well, it is hot. It still is hot, but it's not as hot where it's flying off immediately. Like I used to have 15 cars waiting outside a day after I list a property. But the market has changed a little bit because the pandemic was what was driving it. People were seeing social media and seeing people having a great time in Miami when they were coming from New York, Chicago, and actually some of them were coming from California as well. And so it drove the market, and they came here, they had more space, they had the cash, they sold their properties where they were, or pulled the funds from the properties that they had in those cities, and they moved to Miami. So they drove the market up, and so we had an influx during that period. Right now, it's still holding stable.
When you say it drove the market up, what's the impact of having somebody, make cash offers on property instantly? What's the impact of that to a real estate market?
Well, it's supply and demand. So we had more people, trying to get the same properties. So the price, they started competing for the same properties. So the price went up. So yeah, it drove the market up.
Well, it's extremely tight, competitive. The market has gotten extremely hot, as you can imagine, from a cost perspective. And I just think that there's a little bit of give and take that needs to be made between the government, local government, and the property owners, to be honest with you, here in Miami.
We know a lot of people are migrating to Florida, Miami, South Florida. And it's kind of like they're occupying a lot of the spaces that locals used to, and it's causing like an increase, like a skyrocket of like rent prices. So yeah, if there's a plan in place where we can make housing more affordable, that would be awesome.
Let's talk about some stats of really what's going on the market. The average price point right now in Miami-Dade County in 2024 is $1.2 million. In 2023, it was $900,000. We're seeing the property values continuing to increase steadily over the years. We're hitting a 1% increase year after year on the market. The luxury market accounts for a great majority of these purchases because a lot of these buyers are coming out of international buyers. In the state of Florida right now, there are 23% of international buyers that flood the U.S. market. Florida represents 11% of those 23%.
Wow.
So a lot of these buyers are coming in Florida for everything that we have: attractive tax, great weather, business incentives as well to open your business.
And we're really cool.
And
I hear they got some pretty good commissioners
and,
there
I think
too.
the people here are pretty cool too.
No.
And let's really think about it. With post-COVID, the post-pandemic era, the way we work has changed. We look to be comfortable in our own home. We work from home. We work remotely, which has attracted also a lot of the buyers moving to Florida. So yes, on the luxury side, absolutely, we're seeing huge increases in that market.
If I don't have $1 million, and for the record, I don't have $1 million, Ms. Howard, and I want to purchase a home, I want to buy a home, what is the market looking like for me right now? I am somebody who, let's say I went to college, I go to work every day, I have a family, I make, I don't know, $80,000 a year. What's the market looking like for me right now?
It's still pretty good. We have to do more work. So that's where you have to find a professional to work with instead of going it alone. Someone who there are micro markets in Miami where you can find beautiful homes for that price range. Anywhere from 800 to $1 million or even below. If you're looking for a townhouse or a single family house, it's there. You can still find the property. But they're in different small micro communities. If you're looking for something on the beach, for example, you're not going to find that.
Well, you can find like an Airbnb on the beach for that.
Yes, you can.
But that's about
per night.
Per night, per night.
There's so many new people coming into the city every day, and there's a lot of people with like higher incomes, and they're willing to pay. So it's very difficult to actually maintain or even buy. It's a big concern. I would say a lot of my friends have had to move out of Key Biscayne because they can't afford the rent, so they can't afford the housing anymore. So they've had to move to other areas.
Too expensive. Many big money clients are coming to Miami from the U.S. and from abroad, and the ones that live here in Miami, us residents, are just getting pushed back out of our city. So yes, hopefully the government and the county can do something about it.
We have 52 companies that relocated to Florida, which is, investment companies. You have Bezos has moved here. We have a lot of high net worth individuals that have made Florida their home.
Correct.
And this will continue to drive the market up. And it's created a lot more jobs. We have to be honest with that. I read recently that in the 52 companies, it created 5,700 new jobs in Miami-Dade alone. And it has helped increase the purchasing power also of the average consumer.
So my question about jobs, because I hear those numbers about jobs all the time also, and you would think that well, it's creating jobs, and these are jobs with good salaries, and these are folks who are moving here and companies that are moving here and they're making good salaries, then why are so many people experiencing a housing crunch? Why are so many people experiencing such a disproportionate amount of their money, their salaries, their income going towards housing? And so I think that's actually where I was going, because any impact on the market affects the market. So them coming into the market actually drives it up. They're not taking a house that I would buy anyway. I wasn't going to buy Jeff Bezos' house.
Right.
No, he's living somewhere over here. I'm living somewhere over there.
You can find
it's cool
on a paddle board.
Yeah, I can find him maybe on Google, like Google Maps or something. I can find him maybe on there. But everything affects the market.
Absolutely.
And so the influx of those folks, while we aren't competing necessarily for the same houses, it still impacts the prices of housing. And I think that's probably why people are experiencing such a housing crunch, and why we're experiencing that right now. You talked about something before. You said supply and demand. I love using that phrase because I tell people all the time in Miami-Dade County, our housing market, we're really failing, when you talk about prices, we're failing the first day of economics. Mm-hmm. The first day of economics, they taught supply and demand. If your supply is low and your demand is high, prices are going to be high.
Yeah. I mean, I lived here in Brickell for 5 years before moving to South Miami, and the rents have doubled in less than 5 years, and the price of housing, fortunately I bought 2 years ago, but my house is 50% off from the price that I got, and I have many family and friends that have been pushed away to the north or the south or even the west of the city because they cannot afford to rent or even to buy a home.
There is only a 4-month inventory in the market right now of single-family homes.
What does that mean?
Meaning that we don't have enough single-family homes to get people into. So we cannot be building fast enough. We need more inventory in order for prices to stop really increasing. It's still a seller's market right now.
What we do know about Miami-Dade County is that the availability for us to build new single-family homes.
Right.
We don't have an endless amount of land. This isn't the Midwest. This isn't even Central Florida. We have some neighbors. Our neighbors are Broward County, the Atlantic Ocean, and the Everglades. and so we know that we're not going to build in the Everglades. We can't. We know we're not going to build in the Atlantic. We can't. Broward's not going to give us any of their property.
No.
So as we develop single-family homes, at some point, that kind of path will run its course anyway. I've asked a lot of questions about whether we need to be shifting how we see things, how we see housing, from that single-family home paradigm to more building single-family communities that have townhouses and some type of density.
Correct.
Because you can build a home. A home isn't a house. We have a single-family house dream.
Right.
Everybody wants to have a single-family house. You can have a single-family home, and it can be in a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom townhouse or condominium.
Right.
But I feel like that's going to take some educating on our part as a city, as a county.
I agree.
On showing a different way of living. It's ingrained in us to try to achieve, to buy a single-family home.
Yeah.
Because on the condo market, our inventory there's more inventory available. We have 7-month supply in the condo market, whereas we only have a 4-month supply on the single-family residential market.
The condo market is significantly, rapidly growing. Every corner you turn, there is a new building going up. So I feel that market is already providing or working to provide homes. But as she said, you have to now educate people to understand that this is a new way of living. And to be honest with you, when I look at the traffic, for example, a single family home and you have to drive, if you're in a community that is self-contained, you don't have to do that much driving. There are so many things within that community for you to satisfy that,
Well, some of it's going to be education. I think education definitely has its place, right? We have to educate folks. We have to recondition folks. But some of it is necessity. Some of it is necessity. And so remember that people generally adapt out of necessity, not necessarily out of education. So we're going to run out of single-family homes.
We are already there.
And what's going to happen is there's going to be density, there's going to be condominiums.
Right.
And then you'll have a choice to make. You have a choice of whether you want to live here in Miami-Dade County or whether you want to live someplace else and work here, or there'll be choices to be made. But we know that those choices will have to be made eventually. And I'm just hopeful that we find ways to evolve our real estate market, because I appreciate what you all do from a macro and a micro level. From a micro level, you all provide for your families and your employees, but from a macro level, your real estate, you're a driver in our economy.
Yes.
You're a driver in our economy. So the fact that you can sell things and people buy things means that people build things.
Right.
The fact that people build things means that they actually pay folks to actually build things. They pay engineers, they pay plumbers, they pay contractors, they pay landscapers. It's a driver in our economy, so I understand the importance of it. I just don't know that, because I too always wanted a single family, I always wanted a house. I always wanted a house, but I understand that might not be the reality for the next generations of Miami-Dade County residents. Let me just say, thank you both for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I know that our viewers are going to be enlightened by your insight. And listen, if you all want to buy something from somebody, listen, if I'm ever in the market for $1 million home, a multi-million-dollar home, I'm going to call you first.
I hope so.
I'm going to call you, and when I need somebody to help me find some place I'm going to call you also. Probably more likely to call you because I don't see it. I'm a public servant. I hope. I just hope. But thank you all for coming. I look forward to seeing you around.
Thank you.
As I was listening to our wonderful guests, and I thank all of them for being here tonight, what kept crossing my mind was this old Luther Vandross song, "A house is not a home." And it's interesting that we have this idea that houses are homes, and so everyone wants to have a single family house because they want to call someplace home. I think that what we know now is that because we're limited in space here in Miami-Dade County, because we have a desperate need for rapid mass transit, because we have a desperate need for inventory, that we're gonna have to actually find ways to redefine homes differently. And so you heard that from one of our guests. They talked about placemaking. We need to re-educate ourselves, reacclimate ourselves with the idea that the American dream that's always been captured by a single home on a block with a white picket fence might actually be a community that provides you all the amenities, all the comforts that you need, and you still get to enjoy what we think is special here in Miami-Dade County. Thank you for joining us. We'll be seeing you next month.
If you missed our latest episode about transportation, another important topic, you can find it on islandtv.tv.
And if you have any questions for me or any of our guests about any topic concerning residents, don't hesitate to ask. Simply record a video of yourself asking the question and email it to ogvideosub@miamidade.gov. Have a good night, and we'll see you soon.